very much for being back. If you just joined us, still on to Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television. Let's get to our conversation for today. President Bola Tinubu has directed Plateau State Governor Caleb Mutfwang to take decisive action and find a lasting solution to the ongoing crisis in the state. Meanwhile, Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia issued a warning that anyone entering the state without his knowledge does so at their own risk, as he cannot guarantee their safety. Tinubu directive followed a deadly Sunday night attack in Zike Hamlet, Kimapa, a community Kwal district of Basa, local government area of Plateau State, where at least 52 people were killed and properties destroyed. A family of 8 was among the victims in a related development. Nigerian army troops rescued 16 previously abducted individuals in the same area. Amid these events, Christian leaders in Plateau State are preparing to protest the continuous wave of killings. In a statement from the president's spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, President Tinubu expressed deep sorrow over the recent violence. He condemned the killings, extended condolences to the state government and citizens, and called for unity and peace across the religious and ethnic divides. He urged all community, religious, and political leaders to come together to stop the cycle of revenge attacks plaguing the nation. Now let's talk about this particular matter. It's very sensitive, and I think it's very important that we do justice to that. And helping us do that, we have joining us via Zoom, Olajumoke Alawode James. She is a communicator and equally a public affairs analyst. Good morning to you and welcome.
Henry.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, so sorry, I can't hear you.
Excellent morning, Henry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, very well. I can hear you now. It's fine. Yes. All right, so let's get into the conversation. I hope that the internet and connection will help us today. But let's see what we can make out of it, though. Speaking to the matter of continuous insurgency and killings in Plateau State, Nigeria. Just a couple of days back, yesterday, Peter Gregory Obi went there to visit and equally stay with the victims and casualties of the mayhem. And right after then, Bayo Onanuga equally communicated to the people. Of course, he wasn't present there. But speak to us on intentional leadership at this point, especially when communities are ravaged and the families are killed. Speak to us.
So it's a sad day for Nigeria that the Middle Belt continues to experience these ending killings. And rather than solve the problem, we keep on politicizing it. Governor of Benue State, Governor Dr. Alia, had said to politicians and aspirants of the Labour Party in the 2023 presidential elections, Governor Peter Obi, that if he comes to Benue State on humanitarian grounds, that he would be coming at his own risk. Fortunate development, because Peter Obi responded that it was on the side state, and the presidency also responding. I wish that rather than be reactive in terms of, oh, this person is making you look bad, then you come to, just talk, that they would send in the army, the continuous killing in Benue State, in Plateau State, so that we're not reading about 40 people dead on Monday, 60 people dead on Sunday, in continuous, it's seeming like ethnic cleansing of the people over there. It's unfortunate, and Nigerians we're just moving past the news, like we're no longer moved by news of dead people, in the Middle Belt and the North, I think that the Nigerian presidency just ought to provide good governance and stop the killings in the Middle Belt.
So very, very true. Because if this were to happen in other climes, maybe in Ghana or Cote d'Ivoire, I would love to believe those in power would have declared a state of emergency. Of course, not removing the elected people there, but declare a state of emergency where the military would come and ensure that peace is maintained in that particular society. But speak to us on the issue of attacking the messenger and not giving any credence to the message here. Peter Gregory Obi is, of course, not there to maybe eulogize himself or praise himself. He's there on a humanitarian ground. But for us to begin to politicize it, do you think it defeats the essence of humanitarian aid?
Definitely. Now, don't go too far talking about Ghana. Imagine this killings happened in Lagos State. We would have declared the state of emergency. We will not allow it to continue in Lagos State. Imagine that the killings happened in Abuja or Port Harcourt. We would have declared the state of emergency, and those states are in Nigeria. Now, why you talk about Ghana is because you're talking democratic and what ought to happen, right, in cases like that, which is what Peter Obi is trying to exemplify, that, compassionate leadership would go there, to see for themselves what is happening, commiserate with the governor and the people who have lost loved ones, promise them that they will take decisive action and stop the killings, and actually see to it that the killings are immediately stopped. So Peter Obi is trying to show the nation how leadership should work. I don't know if we have, aside from military schools, if we have schools of leadership and schools of democracy where politicians who say they want to lead. I'm very disappointed in this Reverend Dr. Alia, a Catholic priest, that people assumed, because he's a Christian, is going to be for the people. Democracy is about the people, for the people. Politicizing what's happening in the state. Your people are being killed on a daily basis. Somebody is bringing support. Somebody is bringing leadership, and you make it all about politics. Is that what human lives are about in Nigeria now? Very unfortunate.
Very so unfortunate. And to make matters worse, the president is basically in France right now as we speak, on a 14-day work visit, which we do not know when it would end. But one would have thought that at least the Shatima, the device, would be there to, just like you said, you did say, commiserate with the people, but they are not there. So does this really show that the current government truly does understand why they are there in the first place? Or is it the same transactional politicking that we're used to in Nigeria?
So Vice President Shatima was governor of Benue State when we saw the onslaught of Boko Haram killing people on a daily basis. And he never stopped it, So I'm not expecting him to perform magic now that he is vice president, Unfortunately, it is reported in today's Daily Post that top government officials reportedly advised Governor Alia against granting Obi access to the IDP camp, citing political undertone. So the president is not providing leadership, is on a walking visit to France when the president of France, Macron himself, is on a walking visit to Egypt, right? Asking the question, is our president really on a walking visit when his host is not even at home, right? But when a proper leader has compassion and a heart for his people, hears about one death that is preventable, because we have the Nigerian army, right? They're supposed to defend our territory. They would normally leave wherever they are at, be it an international conference or vacation, to run back home to provide leadership, to show that they care about the people. One American life is as important as any other human life in the world. Unfortunately, it's not the same for Nigeria. Now, when the president is not home and the vice president is not, I mean, he's being himself, presided over killings of many of his citizens while he was governor of Benue State, like I earlier stated. I mean, by this time, he's already used to hearing of killings, all over Nigeria. So this is nothing new to him. But somebody who values human life is now being stopped from visiting. So do we care about the people whose loved ones are being killed and the ones who are being slaughtered? Or is it about, that's Peter Obi, president has not gone, vice president has not gone, he's him who wants to go. Better tell him not to come, let him not come and be using us to shine. We are politicking with people's lives rather than providing security, which is the primary role of government. People will say Peter Obi is pretending. Okay, he has been pretending for 2 years. The ones who are in leadership, can they also even pretend? Yeah. Can the president pretend like Peter Obi and go to the IDP camps in Benue, in Plateau, in Borno, and provide leadership? Rather, the governor of Borno State, Dr. Zulum, said there are 64 localities under Boko Haram in the state. And the presidency replied and said, don't mind him, don't mind him at all. There's no local government under Boko Haram. Governor Zulum had to come out again to say, these people are in Abuja. If they are sure of what they're saying, let them drive by road from Abuja to Maiduguri to tell us that there's no local government under Boko Haram. So what the news coming out of Nigeria is that while the citizens are being killed, the governments who are supposed to provide security are politicizing the lives being lost. I'm not sure this is democracy. There's no shade of democracy this crazy.
Hello? Yes, yes, very, very true, because one would question the sort of democracy we are practicing in this part of the world, because it's looking not like the democracy others practice in other parts of the world. But I'd love you to speak to, the origin of some of these things. When people are prevented from defending themselves and other people take advantage of that deficit of communities not allowed to defend themselves. So do you think in Nigeria we have these unwritten laws that we are not privy to, that I think we should all be knowledgeable about? Because if this continues, then we would have a country where no one would have a safe place to stay. So do you think there is an unwritten law where some part of the country are allowed to take advantage of other parts of the country?
Well, they tell us that this onslaught of killings by headsmen are not Nigerians themselves. They're from Fulanis across the West African region, right? They're nomads in nature, and so they will travel feeding their cattle from one location to the other. However, we're not sure that these people are still herdsmen anymore. I think they've abandoned cattle rearing to killings, abductions, ransom taking. So whichever law allows a region in Nigeria to take advantage of another region, I'm not aware of it. It's not in international law. I doubt that we have it in Nigeria's laws, right? But again, Nigeria is a country of very many laws. It's how to implement them that we're not very good at. But I think that every good citizen in the world, Nigerians included, should speak out against these killings. Anybody can be. We don't carry arms in Nigeria. Any one of us can be a victim if we do not stop these killings. They're coming from the north, right? They are now in Plateau, Benue. They have moved to Enugu and southern states. We ought to be careful that these people do not take over the entire country. We must provide security and ensure that every Nigerian life is secure.
So very, very
At least as in the Nigerian.
Yes, very, very true. Very, very, very true. Because one would question, why the killing of the 16 hunters in Urumi, which the northern governors have defended that the arms that were found with the 16 hunters were registered arms. And one would wonder how and why such arms will be registered. But people who are holding arms to defend themselves in their community are seen like a cultist or secessionists. So that's why I was asking if there is an unwritten law that permits other people to take advantage of all other persons.
So you know that you can't carry arms anywhere in the world as far as your arms are registered with the government, right? For whatever reasons that you want to have them. You have licensed arms carriers, right? But we've had communities also in this country where, for instance, the vigilantes in Uromi came to shout that their arms were collected from them, right? Those are the people who brought themselves together, formed the vigilante group to say we will defend ourselves if the Nigerian police and army are unable to. Their arms were collected from them. You remember Governor Otom of Benue State, when the same killings were happening very regularly in Benue State. He said to the president at the time, let us arm ourselves. He was denied, right? But then you now say that headsmen who are known to carry sticks to guide their cattle can now register ammunition and say that they are hunting in villages that the monarchs or the commissioner of police or the governors do not know about, right? Because what happened in Uromi, if you remember, was that they had continually had cases of kidnappings and killings before they formed this vigilante group to protect themselves. And then they got wind that there were kidnappers going to be traveling, just before the Salah celebration. And that's how what happened. Even though, everyone is against jungle justice. But again, if the Nigerian police are known to release these people back into the society under, they are now repented, they are reformed, and the killings continue, you cannot also blame the people for jungle justice. Like begets like. A country where justice is not seen to be done, and perception, it can be more real than your reality sometimes. So it is important that justice is seen to be done, but where that is not done, and people now start to take doors into their own hands, you can't fault them. So yes, no ethnicity, no ethnic group in Nigeria is bigger than the other. We must provide equity and justice for all Nigerian citizens and ensure that no ethnicity is wiped away by another, no community is taken over. The lands of one people are not taken over by another kind. If we do that, then once you to show what cannot blame people for protecting themselves, honestly.
So very, very true, because it's often said that the absence of the rule of law, gives birth to a jungle justice like we see, which of course we totally do condemn. But I'd love you to speak to the issue of leadership once more in Nigeria. One would have thought that the personality of our president, who has been there, who has been forefront of fighting for democracy, fighting for the rule of law, ensuring that every part of Nigeria is welded together, and today he's given the opportunity. Are you still there? All right, I think we still have a little bit of a technical glitch there. It's still Enterprise Morning, and we're talking about the killings in Benue and Plateau State. And I have with me um, Olajumoke Alawode James. Do a little bit of a technical glitch there, but of course we'll be right back in a bit. Please don't go anywhere.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.
Much for being back. Just before we had that little technical glitch, I was actually asking you on the question of leadership in Nigeria. One would think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has the magic wand to make Nigeria better than it used to be. But it's unfortunate that Nigerians are not seeing the dividends of democracy from someone who had called himself a progressive. Do you think it's ever possible for us in this country to have a leadership that truly defines what we desire?
I wasn't expecting anything from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I didn't think his 8 years in Lagos was fantastic. He spent first 4 years just renaming streets and dividing the roads, you know. But he had a fantastic successor in Governor Fashola, you know, whom we didn't even know before he became governor, but did fantastically because he wasn't a politician, he was a technocrat. He just came to work. But what they could do 24 years ago, age is no longer on their side. What I could do 24 years ago, I mean, I can't do them anymore. The older we get, which is why retirement age is at 65. You know, Nigeria is pushing it to 17 because of unemployment and all of that. But the point I'm driving at, I wasn't expecting that he would have any magic wand. I didn't expect that he was coming to do anything, particularly because we had seen somebody in his ilk in the last 8 years before his President Buhari, whom for 12 straight years had been contesting, wanted to be president, and then got into the position in 2015 and said, age is not on my side. I'm not sure I'll be able to do all the things I wanted to. Of course, all the things he wanted to do 12 years prior, couldn't do 12 years later. So this is very expected. You look at somebody's antecedents. If somebody was honest, they weren't associated with anything fraudulent. See what's happening with David Onde's redactment of the FBI and DEA, files on our president. As embarrassing as that is, currently. But the Nigerians who said they wanted this president for whatever reasons, and the people worked very hard to ensure that he got into that office by whatever means that he did. I hope that this is the Nigeria of their dreams. However, the rest of us who think that Nigeria deserves way better than what we are getting now, no country deserves a president who is absent when the citizens are being killed. I'm hoping that we all come together and ensure that we prove to the political class that Nigeria belongs to the citizens, and democracy anywhere in the world is about the people. And if the people are not well taken care of, they're crying about hunger, they're not secure, and the president and his associates and family members are junketeering around the world, on vacation here and there, and not providing leadership nor good governance, then we ought not to allow such a government to continue to stay in power.
So very, very true. And, there's one area that we are not even talking about here. And it's a very key area that had given lots of countries the edge, and that's tourism. Nigeria is a country with a vast measure of tourist attractions and tourist sites that if we are to milk into that sector, I think it's more than enough money for the country. But of course, insecurity is killing that particular industry, unfortunately. Do you think tourism in Nigeria would ever see the light of the day again?
Oh, definitely. My parents toured Nigeria like they were touring the world. and they schooled in London, but they were very, very, my mom could drive from Lagos to Kano, drive from Lagos to Kaduna. My dad also, he walked across the north, west, and south, so my parents toured the world. And in my short life, I've also gone around the south of Nigeria, south, east, southwest. I've been to a lot of states, but I'm not that excited to tour northern countries. Not only is my religion different and I may not be used to their culture, insecurity is more rampant over there. I was excitedly telling my colleagues on Enterprise TV within the last week how I enjoyed my stay in Uyo. The food was fantastic and all of that. I could go anywhere in the middle of the night or early mornings. I went to work on the Niger Delta Sports Festival. The part I didn't say to anyone was that my driver was actually a policeman, fully armed, So my temerity and audacity was because I felt very secure, And that's what Nigeria has become. Can I go to Ikogosi or the Tinapa in Calabar, or we used to have games reserves in the north? Can I go to any of those tourist sites without security now? I may be kidnapped on my way there. Yeah. Why do people fly rather than traveling on roads? Before, you could travel on the road and just, look around the country. Yeah. The country was secure at that time. Now, it's better to pay hundreds of thousands to fly to your location than be looking for hundreds of millions for ransoms payments. So, will tourism pick up in Nigeria again? Yes, if we secure the country. Is the current government currently doing that? No. Rather, we're politicizing, as we have discussed this morning, the deaths of Nigerians across the Middle Belt. So, but it is not for all of us at the government. I keep on saying that the people in government did not fall from the sky. They're not Ghanaians or Togolese. They're Nigerians. It's the quality of followership that determines the quality of leadership. You saw what Kenyans did with President Williams Ruto when he increased taxes. They were okay with him building, vice presidential lodge for billions. They were okay with him, increasing taxes until they realized, hold on a minute, you ask us to cut our coats according to our cloth, but you're not tightening your belt, you're spending recklessly. So if democracy is about the people and for the people, it is for Nigerians to decide as a united country that enough is enough. Unless and until we do that, the political elite will continue to take us for a ride.
Very, very true. And it's safe to say that in Ghana alone, in 2023, the contribution of tourism to the country is about $3.4 billion. And come 2025, which we are currently, they are hoping that it would give them about $3.6 billion to the country. This is how important this sector is, which before us, we are losing it because those in authority are busy playing politics rather than governance. And it's so lamentable, and one would say. Thank you so very much, Jumoke, for being here. We truly do appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you for the honor of the invitation, as always.
Thank you. All right, people, that's just the time we have for today. We'd love to say thank you to you for making this picture complete. Please do well to visit us if you may. You can read up on everything we've talked about today when you see us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.